Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of TEPSA Presents. I'm your host, Todd Nesloni. I am the Director of Culture and Strategic Leadership here at the Texas Elementary Principals and Supervisors Association. We are thrilled to bring you these conversations that happen periodically throughout the month and the year about a variety of topics. And I am so stinking excited about today's guest on TEPSA Presents. I have Joshua Stamper with me. Joshua, tell everybody kind of who you are.
Oh, well, first off, thank you, Todd. Is the highlight of my day to be with you right now. It's so much fun to always be here with TEPSA. So my name is Joshua Stamper. I'm an assistant principal in the North Texas area, and I've been an administrator for 8 years. Absolutely love it. Working with middle school students from 6th through 8th grade. And then in addition, I am a podcaster. So I have a podcast, Aspire, the Leadership Development Podcast. And then I am an author now. I am launching a book in less than a week. I'm so excited for that. And then I also have the pleasure of working with the Teach Better team as the podcast network manager.
So you're literally doing like 100,000 things, and then you have like 20 kids at your house, right?
I do have a lot of kids. I have 5. It's literally a handful, and you probably might hear them in the background at some point, being kids. So have an amazing wife, Leslie, and 5 kids, and we just have fun every single day.
I bet. Well, Josh, as we get into talk about a couple of things today, I want to start with the fact that you are actually one of the presenters at our TEPSA Assistant Principals Conference that is coming October 11th and 12th in Austin, Texas. I am so pumped to hear your session. So for everybody who's going to be attending, who might be considering attending, anybody can come to this. It's our Assistant Principals Conference, but if you're an aspiring administrator, if you are a leader, if you just need to get off campus for 2 days to come and learn and be fed, this is going to be great. So tell us a little bit kind of what you plan to talk about at that conference.
Definitely. It's a passion of mine and something I've been working with as an administrator for probably about 6 years now with restorative practices. So the session's language of behavior. And I think what you said is perfect. Anyone from a teacher to an administrator, it doesn't matter where you are in your educational journey, like this session honestly is for you, because it's about changing the traditional practices of discipline in schools and really focusing on what that word is. To be a person that provides discipline is to essentially create a disciple. Like you are teaching, you are looking at a behavior and trying to change that. And so often we have tools in our toolbox for academics and working with our struggling kids as far as learning. And we use like hundreds of different strategies in the classroom for that. But when it comes to behavior, a lot of times we only use 1, 2, or 3 different strategies to help. And a lot of times that's with punishment. And I was one, especially early on in my administrative career, that's what I was really heavily leaning on was essentially a detention, ISS or OSS. And those were my 3 tools that I had in my tool belt. And that's all I used. And what I found was I wasn't really changing the behavior at all. In fact, it was increasing, and I was really breaking relationships with my kids.
That's what I'd love to ask. I feel like when we have those moments of clarity and realize that we need to do something different, and restorative discipline is so different than punitive discipline. And so was there like one instance in particular where you're like, I've got to do things differently, or was it just the whole picture?
No, it was actually, I can identify exact day. It was a time when a lot of our young males on our campus were slapboxing. It was a big thing. I mean, you probably had some instance similar to this, and they were all buddies, but it got aggressive, and it was in the bathrooms, and it was a big deal, right? And we suspended 21 kids on that day. Wow. And it was just mind-boggling the amount of work that came with that, and knowing that I was sending kids off our campus, but literally sending them off campus because we had no room for that many kids to be in ISS, and realizing that we were just sending students into our community with nothing to do. Their parents were working, and realizing that wasn't going to change the behavior. They weren't learning anything through that other than I don't have to be in school right now. And it was almost a benefit to them, right? Because it was something that was fun, and they didn't have to be a part of the educational space anymore. And I was so deflated. I felt like a complete failure. I was really wondering if I was supposed to be in administration beyond that school year. And honestly, it was foster care. Me and my wife were going through foster care at that same time, where we went to a session with Professor Purvis of TCU, and she was talking about trauma-informed practices. At the time, I had no idea what that even meant.
Yeah.
I thought, I'm a parent already. I already know how to parent. I don't need to be a part of that session.
Right.
And I've already got kids that, are being successful. And what I learned was just the amount of trauma that is going on in the lives of our kids. And I could see that, like, all of the behaviors that she was going on with the fight, flight, and freeze, and the things that they were talking about that were happening in utero, or the neglect that was occurring, or sexual abuse or physical abuse, all these different things that our kids are going through every single day, and how that translates into the educational space. And it was just a light bulb moment for me that what I was doing was not working anymore, and I needed to make a change.
Well, I feel like when we realize that, there's a lot of people or books or resources that we go to continue our learning. Has there been some things that have been really instrumental in your own growth in that area?
Yeah, Nathan Maynard and Brad Weinstein, they have an amazing book, Hacking Discipline. Within the last couple of years, we did a book study with that. We actually had Nathan come to our campus, and he really worked with our teachers. It's one thing to hear me speak about it and be passionate about it, but it's another to have an expert to come in and really help facilitate that. And working with like relationship circles, working with the ad team on restorative circles, but then also working with the teachers about mindfulness. Obviously our teachers are extremely stressed right now. And we always forget that, our staff goes through trauma, or has in the past. And a lot of people have triggers and are unable to regulate themselves in certain situations. And so we wanted to make sure that we were helping our teachers with their mental health, and making sure that they understood how to regulate themselves, how to take care of them. And then, of course, making sure that they were able to model that for our students.
I love that. That's so much good information there. And, that's one of the things that I always love to ask too is, like, who do you learn from? Because I think the more we learn from people, the better. And so I'm super pumped about your session. I know that you're going to be a great resource. And the great thing about Assistant Principal Conference is that it's small enough that after you do your session, people can come and hang out with you. They can talk to you. They can get ideas. But they'll also be able to pick up your brand new book that releases next week. And I might be a little bit biased here because I did get to read it a little while ago, and I am obsessed with it. As you know, I'm a big fan of your work to begin with, but this book, I have been dying for you to put a book out and people to get to learn from you in that way. And this book is phenomenal. So for people who might be interested in going, "Ooh, this Josh is onto something. What did he write about?" Tell us a little bit about your book.
Yeah, so it's Aspire to Lead. So it's literally my journey as far as being an art teacher to administrator. And I kind of figured if I could do it as an art teacher and rise to the rank, then to hit the goal that I wanted, that I might be able to provide that. But I wanted to do it, and this talk, because we talked about it prior to me even writing it, was the fact that I wanted to be vulnerable. I wanted to show all of my missteps and mistakes that happened throughout my journey. And I had an amazing mentor that I met within the second year of trying to become an administrator, going through that process of my master's degree. And, I kind of reflected and just kind of worked through what were the major things that helped me grow to be someone that could get to be an administrator someday. And so I use Aspire as an acronym. And so that's activate, support, persevere, identify, reflect, and execute. And those terms, really hitting on the idea that, and I don't want to go through every single letter in the acronym, but that first piece of the activate piece, being an administrator now, I have a lot of people say, I want to be a leader someday. And then after that conversation, nothing really occurs. And I really wanted to inspire folks to get up, to believe that they could do it, no matter where they are within the educational space, to activate their brain, their mindset, but then also to take action, like to go and do something, to get that experience, to knock on someone's door, ask them to be your mentor, like some actionable items for people to take away with. And then in addition, I want to talk about like some major characteristics that I think every leader should have, and that's empathy, creativity, and passion. And the empathy piece is really what I'm going to be talking about at the AP conference here with the restorative practices. I talk about that. But then other pieces like the creativity and the passion, talking about passion projects and how you need to have things within your life that give you great joy, so that way you're filling your cup to be able to do the hard pieces of the job every single day.
And that's what I love about this book is it's so varied. It's for anybody at any point in their career. There's great takeaways, but I love that tagline of the focus being empathy, creativity, and passion, because I think those are the elements of every great leader. And they're areas that no matter how good we become in them, we can always grow more. And you had a lot of contributors to this book as well, didn't you?
I did. I had 12, including yourself. You got to write the foreword for me. I was the only person I wanted to do that, and it was fantastic. But yeah, I have 11 different contributing authors, and I was really strategic about people that made a difference in my own life. You talked about who did I learn from earlier. Nathan Mader is actually a contributing author in my book about empathy, and there was no one else I wanted, to be a part of that. But Alison Apsey and Sarah Johnson and Evan Robb and like people, Sandra Pegram, the person that I was telling you about, my mentor, she's amazing. You've met her. She's a fantastic person and administrator, and, people that really changed me, not only as an educator, but as a person. I really wanted to have their wise words, to help anyone that was reading the book.
Well, you are an administrator right now in the Frisco area, and you are going through the same things our administrators from all over the country and world are going through right now. So I'd love to ask you, as we kind of wrap this conversation up, what do you do to hold it together? Because I know we can say all we want that last year was unlike any year, but I think everybody agrees this year is 100 times worse. And so I know that every conversation I'm having, people are struggling. And I know you and I have talked a lot about what this year has been like, even just for you. And so what are you doing to hold it together? What advice can you give for others, kind of thing?
For sure. I think as leaders, we need to make sure that we're providing everybody time for mental health, right? So I know there's a lot of PD right now that is talking about mental health, but I like, as far as a leader, to not only speak it and model it, but actually give time back to the staff to actually participate in that. So often we think of mental health of scheduling maybe an hour to do something that's very strategic, like with a PD session of like a massage or something that we do for our staff, right? Like we pay someone to come in and do something for them. But so often our staff needs to do something that is going to be enjoyable and needed. Like, for instance, someone may just need to go for a run.
Yeah.
Someone maybe just needs a quiet space with some light music at home, like whatever they choose to do to create that mental health space for them, we need to give them time to do that. And so often our teachers are just overworked, constantly. Our administrators are overworked. And I would hope that any leader that's watching will just take into the effect that, like, really create boundaries, not only for yourself, but for everybody on your staff. Like, we have such a toxic, just in our culture, in American culture, we have such a toxic space of workaholic and working till all hours until we drop and we burn out. And education is no different. And so as leaders, we just need to be mindful of making sure that we're not allowing that to be the culture of our school, to say it's okay to stop at a certain time, to become a husband, to become a wife, to become a father or a mother, whatever you need to do to make it right at home, so that you're your best version on the campus.
I love that. And I think that's the best way to wrap this up. Well, we hope anybody watching today who's considering attending our assistant principal conference, head on over to TEPSA.org. You can go to the events tab to see about that, about our upcoming Grow conference, about our summer conference. That's right around the corner, really. I mean, everything's flying by so fast. But we hope to see you there. Josh, I know we're going to love your session at the assistant principal conference. And I know your book comes out on Tuesday, right?
Yeah. Yep,
so everybody go check out the book, Aspire to Lead. There's the cover right there. So super pumped for everybody to check that out, for it to be out in the wild. Josh, thanks so much for being here, and we will connect with you soon.
Awesome. Thank you.